we want 6. 3, 4. So they call this the vault. Alright, someone's made a... water source falls CW shop battery entry. Entry canyon is interesting because why would people show up at one per... Oh, they did say... Did they say something about one type of seed? It only, like, the destination is fixed. I forget. Anyway. That's the cemetery over there next to Farley's. There is the tree. Wall. I guess this is a wall. So that's the tower. We have not been to the tower. There's the rail yard. Which it's... like, it's so cool. But look, you can tell that's a circle. That's a circle. All of these things are circles, the things that get teleported in. Bosque, plateau, river, scrap yard. We haven't been in the scrap yard. Bleeder. Lake. And this is unlabeled. That's the thing that looked like a stone, weird stone sphere with stuff inside of it. Okay. Paper. Communication. Talking with our neighbors. Premium legal pad. Premium means quality. Registered trademark. We take communication for granted, even with the very languid... English, most of all languages, is difficult to speak. Communication. Talking with our neighbors. We take communication for granted, even with the varied languages we find here in Hunrath. But when we suddenly find ourselves among other intelligent species who don't share our culture, history, DNA, or vocal cords, it requires a huge amount of effort for the beginning of rudimentary chatting. This quick overview will set the stage for what to expect when communicating with our neighbors. Mofang. The Mofang were the first non-humans we met. With at least some level of similar physical vocal generating abilities, they picked up human words quickly. This early mimicry resulted in what the species came to be called. Even though they were able to mimic single words and simple phrases, it became evident over the years that huge grammatical differences were not easily overcome. Some have proposed that the difficulty may have arisen because the Mofang insisted on attempting to learn every human language and as a result were never able to lock onto any consistent grammatical structure. Nevertheless, in spite of the rudimentary sentence construction, it has been very easy to communicate, and it has been unnecessary for us to learn their language beyond a few simple phrases and proper names. If you'd like to learn more about communication with the Mofang, please contact Tam. Villain. The Villain have presented a particular communication challenge. From what we can gather, they produce sounds using two large reed-like structures in opposite sides of their heads. The vibrations generated are channeled to resonance chambers in their skulls where they are combined into a complex, low-frequency dual tone. The low-frequency bitonal sounds are not only hard for humans to hear and resolve, but impossible for us to mimic. And the Villain's hearing is also oriented toward the low frequency, so they are unable to hear most of the sounds associated with human speech. Therefore, communication with the Villain has relied on technology. They have adapted consoles, which the Villain fluently control with vocalization, for use by other species. Over the years, some individuals of other species, including a few humans, have learned to communicate very effectively using this method. humans have been able to pick out some higher frequency characteristics of key Villain words over the years, and although we can't speak to them in a way that the Villains can understand, we are occasionally able to hear and recognize these words when spoken distinctly by the Villain. If you'd like to learn more about communication with the Villain, please contact Vito. Arai. We have not heard anything about the Arai yet. None of the stages of the Arai morphology have any vocalization apparatus. Because of the obvious synchronization of the barnacle flash and the ability of the pawns to provide for and address the needs of the polyarchs, it was assumed that the species could communicate effectively. Synchronization of the barnacle flash and the ability of the pawns to provide for and address the needs of the polyarchs. Okay. It was not until Farley began to spend large amounts of time in the polyarch antechamber that the first clues to this communication became evident. After months of research, Farley began to have limited success with receiving some kind of simple messages that were coming from the polyarchs. It is now apparent that the polyarchs had been attempting to communicate the entire time, but they themselves had been experimenting with various channels until they finally got a response from Farley. After this breakthrough, others were able to tune in to the polyarchs and learn to listen. Both the polyarchs and the pawns have a simple organ that can sense human vocal frequency, enabling them to send simple responses from humans, but over the years, Farley was able to speak to the polyarchs via a related form of extrasensory transmission. If you'd like to learn more about communication, please contact Farley. And that is all we have in this pad. Okay. Species description. Mofang. Through ambassador seeds, the Mofang were the first non-human species humans were introduced to. An Liang was the first to call the alien a Mofang, impressed with their advanced ability to imitate our sounds, movements, and mannerisms. Although they have a name for themselves, their language is mostly unpronounceable by humans. As a result, and because of their mimicry abilities, communication with Mofang is primarily accomplished by their learning human languages rather than humans learning to speak Mofang. They have been able to learn almost every human language represented in Hunrath, enough to provide functional, if rudimentary, communication. The Mofang basic external morphology is remarkably humanoid, bilateral symmetrical tetrapods, bipedal, head with anterior facial features, mouth, eyes, nostrils. Other external features include minimal body hair and raised dorsal protrusions. Constitution is somewhat frail due to their thin and lightweight internal structure, but internal investigation has not been possible. They have ample cranial space to account for a substantial brain, and their evidence is impressive as evidenced by their advanced technology. Oh, like that. Okay. Arai. After a certain level of maturity and health of the tree, a passage opened at its base. This passage allowed contact with two additional species. The first contact was with the Arai. The first contact revealed the Arai to be large beetle-like insects. We were unable to communicate directly with them in any way, but they appeared to have some rudimentary level of intelligence. It was Larenk Toth who first made the journey through the heart to Kaptar, and named both the New World and the inhabitants. The Arai have three distinct variants that have come to be referred to as barnacle, beetle, and polyarch. Although their morphology is dramatically different from humans, their internal systems, like all of our neighbors, are supported by similar atmospheric composition and basic nutrients. In their barnacle stage, the Arai are completely immobile. The Arai stay in this egg-like development stage seemingly indefinitely. In order to hatch, they must be in proximity of a polyarch, and fertilized by the beetles after a certain stage of maturity. The beetles are the eyes and ears, hands and feet. With only a minimal nervous system of their own, they are essentially sensory extensions of the immobile polyarchs. They are able to execute simple commands, but apparently have very little in the way of individual sentience. The Arai polyarchs are the intelligence and consciousness of the species. Although it was obvious that there was intelligence behind the species, it wasn't until Caroline Farley began spending large amounts of time in close proximity that deeper communication began. With a room nearby, Farley was the first to communicate non-verbally and learn much about the species, including some historical information. The Arai species survived in their world, while several other sentient species came and went. Among them, an ancient species who formed a deeper relationship with the Arai, carving temples and dwellings for them in the rocks. Okay. And later, a more recent species that took over much of their homeworld. This latter species was especially adept at mechanical construction, using it mostly to capture and process large flying creatures, using the beetles as bait. Okay, species that took over their homeworld, using the beetles as bait to capture large flying creatures and then process them. Okay, so that's a polyarch. Villain. The final species to be discovered were the Villain. The Villain had been communicating with the Arai for many years through ambassador seeds, but became part of the larger community very shortly after the Arai. With a large and imposing frame, and a form of communication based on a complex, multi-voiced, low-frequency rumble, the initial introductions were intimidating. After several attempts, Amelie Vidal was able to begin some rudimentary conversation and began visiting the Villain in Marai, which she named, on a regular basis. She discovered a complex and amazing society that was able to use their technology in unexpected ways. They had the ability to quickly transform their world using extruded structures based on some form of complex miniature substrate material. Unlike the other worlds, the Villain sphere is scooped out of a Villain resettlement group that was preparing to set off into space to find a new homeworld. This was their way of life, to put themselves into stasis and scatter themselves through the stars. As mentioned previously, their appearance is imposing. Standing about 9 feet tall with a distinct reptilian resemblance, they have 6 limbs, 2 muscular arms and legs, and a smaller set of arms. They control every aspect of their technology with their vocalizations, but over the years they have created control panels based on their number system, oh boy, get ready, that allow other species to easier access elements of their technology. Unexpected. The entire landscape outside of our circle of desert could only be described as alien. Large floating rocks could be seen in the distance. No one had ever seen anything like it anywhere on Earth. We fully explored our new surroundings, hoping to find a way home. No way home was ever found. In fact, we soon discovered what we take for granted now. Not only could we not get back home, we also could not access the landscape outside the desert. Curiously, we discovered that a flow of water was provided from a high point of rock, and we discovered a small tree growing in the very center of the circle. Our central tree is so important to our lives. Our central tree that is so important to our lives here was just a mere sapling back then. I shall document the curious events that have transpired with myself, my friends, my family, friends, and co-workers. Hartnell was a peaceful mining town founded by my grandfather and nestled within the red rock of the desert in the Arizona Territory. Its 163 inhabitants heard a mighty explosion on the night of June 27, 1903. I sent several workers through the town to verify that the explosion did not cause any injuries or damage to mining equipment. They returned and reported that it must have been a loud clap of thunder caused by dry lightning, for they found no damage. It was not until the light of the next morning that we were amazed to realize something profound had indeed occurred. At some point during that night, our entire mining facility and a large circle of the land around it seemed to have been scooped up and carried off in a completely different place, to a completely different place, all without anyone knowing about it. Okay, so 1903 is when the huge dome was transported here. And it seems that originally I was saying, oh, people are being transported here from different times, but I think what's happened is that after they had been here for a good long while, maybe they started initiating transfers, and that's how we got like the gas station and then the train yard, stuff like that. So maybe they... Oh, here's another thing we can open. Seed information. This will probably... I'll finish up somewhat soon. This is our big information dump that we, a few times through Mist and Riven, would have one of these where it's just an hour of reading. Ambassador seeds. Ambassador seeds were first documented about 150 Earth years ago. They occur... Oh, interesting. Okay. They occur about once every 400 days if the trees remain healthy. Natural seed swaps occur between pairs of seeds that, we now know, dropped simultaneously from healthy trees in paired sphere. When each seed was touched by species... Alright, this is just written a little bit weird. Let me try this again. Natural seed swaps occur between pairs of seeds that, we now know, dropped simultaneously from healthy trees in paired sphere. When each seed was touched by species in sphere, the swap occurred, sending an ambassador from each sphere to the paired sphere. Location of the swap is defined by the locations of the pairs of seeds. After the first swap, the seeds recharged quickly, allowing for a quick return. First meetings were intense but naturally short. It was quite a surprise for both the Mofang and us. Over time, the seeds required more time to recharge, producing longer visits between species. Okay, so ambassador seeds are not the same thing that brought me here, because I'm like, I didn't get to go back. Everyone who arrives is familiar with the collector seeds, the bright light that we were all drawn to right before the event that brought us here is a collector seed. What new arrivers may not be aware of is that these seeds, like all seeds, come in pairs. When the tree drops a collector seed on the ground, it signals that its twin has begun its signals that its twin has begun a quest for a new being. That search may take hours or it may take years. When an appropriate situation, unnatural threat of death, is found, so that would suggest that this collector came and found me. That it wasn't just it flies around and then detonates on it just as soon as it finds someone. Unnatural threat of death is found. The seed activates and swaps a smaller but varying sized sphere from Earth, or whatever appropriate homeworld, here to Hunrath. As Hunrath became more populated, we would watch for a newly dropped collector seed, collect it, and place it in the entry canyon area. Makes sense. This allowed us to provide a more predictable entry experience for new arrivals, and provide a single area to collect any resources that may have come along with the new arriver. Very interesting. Unlike ambassador seeds and mother seeds, collector seeds do not seem to survive. The inner core is spent, leaving only the lifeless outer husk. Mother seeds, postulated but unverified. First suggested by Alima Hamza, 2232BH, the notion of mother seeds extrapolates the behavior of the lesser seeds to a superseed. She posited that the process that actually created the paired spheres was similar to all other swaps but on a much grander scale. The idea is that two seeds from a mother tree were scattered on the galactic winds to find appropriately similar environments. When matches were found, some process was triggered that swapped large portions of landscape between vastly different worlds. Alima further noted that the trees' locations in the center of the sphere suggested that trees grew from these mother seeds. Because of the similarities, it has been conjectured that re-swapping the entire environmental spheres might be possible with a larger scale version of the ambassador seed machine. That is a smart thing to think of. that that there's some kind of that this happens on a larger scale, that something goes, let me go find a planet and another planet that are compatible and swap like that with some sort of purpose maybe behind it. Very interesting. And that is the end of that. All right. I'm glad we found this vault. This is great. This is good information. What else is there to be found in here? That's where we are right now, right? That vault. Oh, I can rotate this. Okay. Not sure I get it. We just rotating for fun or what? I'm confused by this. It was perfectly lined up to begin with, right? And they were showing that's the rail yard right behind the rail. This is where we are, I think. The vault. Then why? What's the point? I don't know what your point is. You're scaring me. Another book. More reading. Good. Welcome to Hunrath. Please give us a bit of information about you so we can get to know you better. Name. Date you came from. Please use 4-digit year. Where you came from. Country and city. Circumstance under which you were taken. Please note any dangers you noticed. Were we in danger when we got picked up? There was a lightning storm, right? Emptied and filed, 12,000 AH, 13,000 AH, 15,000 AH. Samuel, oh, are there going to be a whole bunch of these? There might be. Samuel Karen, January 2017. Manakara, Madagascar. I had just arrived and was driving my supply truck along the coast, south of Manakana, when I recall being washed away and the seed appeared. 15,257 AH. Is this the number of... who knows? I don't know what. Uzleo Reganon... Regenbogen? Lübeck, Germany. The last thing I recall is a large rumbling while I was hiding in the cellar of a vacant building. I ran towards a bright light in a stairwell. Maria Gallego 9, 1988. Cozumel, Mexico. On my boat and bad storm. Female 56. Qiang Kiyuyu. March of 2042. Okay. Portland, United States of America. Skiing, Mount Hood. Alright, there's only a few in here. Maybe everybody else has already been filed somewhere. So we really are 150 years past when it first happened. 150 Earth years. And they said every 400 days is when a seed pops down. No Bioshock listening to, what do you call it? Rotate the bear? Okay. Kids to draw. That's the drawing of the four armed guys. Adorable. 1. Seed pair. 2. Find planets with similar atmospheres. 3. Swap. 4. Tree from seed. Earth. Soria. Mofang. The Mofang homeworld. Okay, so we... Is that where we are now? We're on the Mofang homeworld. And some Mofangians got dropped onto Earth back in 1903. Heart. Yes, yes. Heart connected. Path open when mature. Heart superposition. 4 species meet. This is probably the villain, and that's the Arai. What happens at fruition? Swap where? Home? When? May be dead? More seed pairs scattered throughout the universe? Why scattering? My brother, small and nice, sings constantly. As noisy as a rock concert, if only he would be quiet. Okay. Well, I think we've learned all we're going to learn here. Ha. Oh, this is her house. Okay. I went through all of that before I realized. Is this a thing? It's not a thing. Okay, so this was her house. I forgot her name. What's her name? Farley. Okay, so we're not... What this is... And I don't know why you can move it around. That's Farley's. That's where we came through. So what is that? We don't know yet. Very cool. What next? So I want, at what point? All of this is just so cool to discover. I'm really digging this. I don't know why they would have a keypad here. Why have a keypad and lock it? I don't know. Who are they trying to keep out? Okay, and there's the boarded up door. Can't do anything about that. Fine. I don't know if that gave us any information whatsoever. But it was very cool. So, whatever planet that is over there, that is It's not like that's Earth. That is some other planet in Mofang's solar system. Or maybe we're on a moon and that's the planet. So whatever the wall is that we're going through right now. Okay. Rail yard. If this is the wall, follow the wall to the rail yard. And right around here is the area that was circled, I guess. Up there. Alright. Back to trying to figure things out. We've got this scrapyard, they called it. How are we gonna get inside there? Let's mess around with this some more. Those are barnacles. Those are awry in the barnacle stage. And they said this was carved out for them by some other advanced race. Because they have 3 stages and only the beetle stage moves. Their stationary is barnacles. Or no, are they 3 different life forms? Or no, the beetles fertilize, they... who knows? Who knows? What do we get from rotating this? I mean, I'm presuming that there is some... This doesn't seem like it's just here to be neat. This should have some kind of function. Maybe because we need sunlight shining on these? it might just be here as a way to get like a look around more of the world. We already tried this. We don't have access to this door. The power leads off in two directions. One is over here. Leads up somewhere that I can't... no, can't quite follow it. The other way just leads down to the power station. So what is this? If we can, this has got to be our next big goal. Get into this power station, scrapyard, whatever. That's the tower. That's the sphere. The sphere is powered, but this door here. Why is there a thing? Why is it painted on? Alright, let's think. Oh, can this no longer be closed? I don't think that's going to do anything now. So the reason, at first I was like, well, if there are some people here, when the guy was introducing things, he was like, oh, there's some people who, you know, some of us have been here for so long that blah blah we can't remember back before that tree was there. And he was saying some people have been born here. I had assumed that everyone was brought here at the same time, and that's not. We now know that to not be true. A new person is brought here. 160 something people were brought here together, but then. Oh, and is that the? So I don't know. That might be the seed. Like, don't hang out near the seed, or you're gonna get swapped. Not telefragged, but swapped. But wouldn't they want that? Wouldn't they want? Wouldn't there be somebody who's like, hey, I'm just gonna chill here by the exit sphere, by the seed, so that I'll get swapped back to Earth, maybe. Alright. Can't get in there. We get a little sneak preview of what's in there. Mayors. Oh, a list of mayors. Interesting. Oh, because this is how you get to the tree, and that's well locked off. I have this sinking feeling that I did find a way that I hadn't gone yet, and said, let's not go there just yet. And now I've forgotten about it. All right, let's start using the warps, yeah? What? Cords leading off into space? What is this? Alright, well, I've never gotten there, I guess. Alright, so here is... We haven't gone through this one. Shupa! This leads over to this area near the waterfall, and is this going to be somewhere we haven't been? I still have to remember to go back to the other, where I just was, before I forget about it. But I want to see what this is, too. Oh? Oh? What are you? Oh, are we in? We're not in. Oh, if we can just lower this, we'll get in. Really now? I have been teleported away. So that's a swap that just happened? Just now? Oh, we were told about the cave drawings, right? That somebody made, maybe? Oh, the seeds take time to recharge, but maybe this is some kind of a manual, like, recharge station to immediately reach... Okay, sure, why not? Where are we now, Riven? We are now maybe on a completely different planet. But with no way of going anywhere. Oh, I found you. You know what? Do I really want to mess around here, or do I want to go back? I think I want to go back. This is great and all, but let's figure some things back. Let's figure some things out on the other planet. If they let us go back. Or does this not even take us back? Does this take us to yet a third planet? Okay, it did take us back. And look, you can see the little glow of... So I would like to get in there. Power lines, power lines, power lines. Oh, there's 2 different scrap yards. This is the higher one, and that's the lower one. Sure, why not? Okay, so we're going to teleport. This must have been really fun to design this whole world and just decide how everything was going to connect together, decide how... Decide how you were going to lay everything out. Alright, so I prematurely pieced out of here. What did we not find out from this area? I warped in. Here is... Oh, another warp? This, now that this is rotated, I couldn't rotate this back. If I were able to do that, I could get over there and then lower that bridge. I'll have to try a little bit harder to... Where is there some device that re-rotates this? I don't know. Alright. Zoop! Music? Are we about to have something dramatic happen? Alright, we can go down there or continue over here. Is this leading us to the tower? I think this is leading us to the tower. Let's go the other way first. Oh, another... Okay. We've already hit hub territory. We can go to yet another place. The world is opening way up. So we have 2 whole planets that we can explore. And in addition to that, we... Oh, did this not lead to anything? This led over here and there's nothing here. Okay. That's neat. So this leads to some kind of lush green world. Red power line, conspicuous, and it goes to over to there. It goes up there to the tower. Oh, I have no keypad for unless, I mean, is this just going to be the same one as before? It's not. Oh, this one's a 3-digit number? Alright, so we'll find a 3-digit number somewhere and get access to the tower. Whew. This whole thing, this is such a more interesting concept to me than Riven's Mist and Riven's framing device of having books, like people who can write books that turn into worlds. This is way cooler. This is really interesting. That there's some sort of intelligence out there that is swapping. Oh, this is one whole continuous thing? I guess. Something out there swapping people around. Going here, you guys come over here and you guys go over there. And by the way, your atmospheres are compatible enough that you'll be able to live there. Alright, so I'm back over here now. Let's go. I want to go over to the gray looking world. And I think there we'll, once I get there, we'll save it so that I can start exploring that fresh. Here we go. Because as I understand it, Myst 3 kind of went to a place where it was like the worlds were more explicitly puzzle-like. Like the worlds that you were visiting were like some kind of test worlds that Atris had made. Like, this is to teach my sons about going between worlds. Yeah, that they were just like small puzzle dimensions that weren't really connected thematically in any major way. So I wound up not playing it. This though, this is... And that's why it doesn't look like... I was looking around like, oh, okay, where's the edge of the... Where's the obvious... I mean, aside from the glowing dots. It doesn't look like this is out of place because this is where it was originally taken from. Now we've swapped it back so that this is normal here. Alright, so I think we'll save it right there. We will... I imagine that this auto-saves. It must. Oh, man. Really digging this. Really looking forward to playing it a lot. It's not going to be our normal Saturday game, though. This is going to be our Tuesday and Thursday game. Saturdays, we'll go back to Snakebird. And tomorrow is Sunday, so that's going to be Final Fantasy XIV Mentor Roulettes.